Right, so today we are diving into some Florida man stories.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about this HBO show. It's Florida Man,
Right.
which, like takes all these crazy headlines and news stories and like turns them into these like little comedy sketches.
Yeah, it's interesting how Florida Man has become like this cultural phenomenon where
Yeah.
you just kind of assume
Right.
like any crazy headline you see,
It's Florida.
it's probably Florida.
It's always Florida.
Yeah, and this show really captures that like over the top kind of.
It's wild. Like, how do they even find these stories?
Right. Like it seems like they just have a direct line to the police spanner or something.
Totally. Okay, so one of the stories that they feature in the show is about this guy, Phil, who is like a massive Bass Nectar fan.
Yeah, he's like a super fan. He went to like 33 shows in 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's some dedication.
Oh, yeah. Total dedication.
But I'm guessing that dedication gets him into a little bit of trouble.
A little bit, yeah. So Bass Nectar announces this 3-day show in Colorado, and Phil is like desperate to go.
Okay.
But he's broke.
Oh, no.
So he does what any Florida man would do in that situation. He goes on Craigslist.
Okay, and what does he offer on Craigslist? To like
He posts this ad offering to do anything within reason for money to go to the show.
Okay, so we're talking like, walk your dog, mow your lawn, like what kind of anything are we talking about here?
Well, you would think that, right? Like normal Craigslist stuff.
Yeah.
But this is Florida Man we're talking about.
Okay, so it's not dog walking?
Not quite. So this guy, Steve, responds to the ad.
Okay.
And has a very specific request.
All right, and what is this request?
He wants Phil to cut off 3 of his toes, but cook them and eat them while he watches.
Oh, my God.
And to be clear, Steve specifies it's not going to be sexual.
Who responds to a Craigslist ad like that?
I don't know, but apparently Steve does.
And Phil's actually considering this.
Well, yeah, I mean, he really wants to see Bass Nectar.
Oh.
And to make things even weirder, the show actually casts Steve Little, who you might know from Eastbound and Down, as Bass Nectar in the episode.
Oh, wow.
So you've got this, like, meta-commentary going on where, like, this fictional Bass Nectar is almost, like, fueling this whole toe-eating thing.
It's like this weird fever dream.
It really is.
Okay, so what does Phil say? Does he go through with it?
His response to Steve is, damn, I really wish it was sexual.
So he's good with the toes.
Apparently the toe-eating is the deal-breaker, not the whole meeting a stranger off Craigslist to cut off your body parts.
I can't even...
I know.
Okay, so this is obviously fake, right? It's like, this can't be a real story.
Oh, it's a real story.
Really?
Yeah, they actually interview the real Phil in the show.
What?
And he's, like, surprisingly chill about the whole thing.
I mean,
yeah.
Of course he is.
He's like Florida Man. He's unfazed.
Okay, but hold on. It gets even crazier.
Okay.
He doesn't go to this toe-eating party alone.
No.
He brings Carolyn, a former Orlando Magic dancer.
Of course he does. Why not?
It's like dangerous, just like a normal part of life in Florida.
You know what? It kind of seems like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got toe-eating Bass Nectar fans in Florida. Like, where do we even go from here?
Oh, it's Florida. They always have to up the ante.
Right.
So, like, just when you think you've heard it all, another story comes along that's even crazier.
And this next story is about, like, this guy, Chris, and it involves a gator.
Yeah, this one's a wild ride.
Okay, so set the stage for us.
All right, so we've got Chris Wright, and he's, like, having a bit of a midlife crisis, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Bad breakup, hates his job, just feeling lost.
Relatable.
Totally. And he's, like, searching for some kind of meaning in his life,
Yeah.
So naturally, he decides to embark on a solo road trip.
Of course, because what else would you do when you're having an existential crisis?
Right, exactly. So he hops in his van and just starts driving down Interstate 675.
Okay, so he's on this, like, soul-searching journey down I-675, and then what happens?
Well, he ends up at this fishing camp.
And he's trying to be a good Samaritan, so he's cleaning up some garbage, and he comes across this fence.
A fence?
Yeah, like a literal fence.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, Chris decides that this fence represents, like, a border that he needs to cross.
A border? What, like a metaphorical border?
I think so. It's kind of unclear, but he sees it as this obstacle he has to overcome.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so he crosses the border, which leads him into a swamp.
Into a swamp? Why does that not surprise me?
Because it's Florida, and what do you find in swamps?
Alligators. Don't tell me.
Oh, yeah, he stumbles upon a lake, and guess who's waiting for him?
A giant alligator.
You got it.
Oh, no, this can't be good.
And things get a little messy, let's just say that.
I'm guessing this doesn't end well for Chris.
Well, he does survive.
He survives after getting into a fight with a gator.
Oh, yeah, they had a full-on brawl.
How does he even
Well, he loses an arm in the process?
He loses an arm.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop him.
Of course not. This is Florida Man we're talking about.
Exactly. So he manages to escape the gator, makes it out of the swamp somehow, and when they ask him about it later, you know what he says.
What does he say?
He says that the gator was actually his reincarnated mother.
His what?
Yeah, his reincarnated mother, and she was trying to teach him a lesson.
A lesson? By ripping his arm off.
Hey, who are we to judge how other people's mothers parent, right? Right?
I guess you're right.
But wait, it gets better.
It gets better? How is that even possible?
Chris decides that this whole gator attack, this near-death experience, was actually a sign.
Okay.
A sign that he needs to change his life for the better.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Right. So he decides to become a motivational speaker.
A motivational speaker? Missing an arm?
Yep, he wants to inspire others with his story.
What was his, tagline? Don't let a gator steal your dreams.
Something like that, actually. His catchphrase is, I'm in the swamp is in me.
Okay, that's
deep, right?
Sure.
But you gotta admire the guy's optimism.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like he took this totally insane experience and somehow found a way to make it positive.
Exactly. And that's what makes Florida Man so fascinating.
Okay, I'm starting to see it.
They always find a way to turn the absurd into something weirdly inspiring.
Okay, so what other craziness does It's Florida Man have in store for us?
Well, remember how we were talking about crazy stories?
Yeah.
This next one involves a mermaid.
A mermaid.
A witch and a cop husband.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Things are about to get weird.
You're not kidding. Okay, so a mermaid, a witch, and a cop walk into a bar.
No, I'm kidding.
But seriously, a mermaid, a witch, and a cop. What's going on in this story?
Only in Florida, right?
Yep.
So we've got this woman. She works as a mermaid performer.
Okay.
Which, I mean...
Makes sense.
Yeah, pretty standard Florida stuff.
Right.
And she gets into this feud with her former coworker.
Okay.
Who also happens to be a self-proclaimed witch.
Wait a minute. So we've got a mermaid and a witch who are beefing. What is this high school?
Right. You'd think they'd be like best friends or something.
I know, right? Mermaids, witches? It's like a match made in Florida.
Exactly.
Okay, so what kind of feud are we talking about here? Did they fight over who got to use the seashells on their bra first or something?
Not quite. So the witch's husband, who's a cop...
Of course he is.
...decides to buy the house next door to the mermaid.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's a bold move.
Right. And to make matters worse, the witch and the cop start engaging in these, backyard sex magic rituals.
They what? Backyard sex magic?
Yeah, you heard that right. And they're doing it, in plain view of the mermaid.
Oh, my God.
They wanted her to see it.
Are you serious? That's next level petty.
Right. It's like they took Keeping Up with the Joneses to a whole other dimension.
I know, right? It's like they're trying to one-up her with weirdness.
Exactly. And, it wouldn't be a Florida Man story without a little something extra.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Remember how we were talking about finding meaning in chaos?
Yeah.
This one might be a stretch, even for Florida.
Yeah, okay, I'm scared.
So there's this guy who tries to blow up his ex's trailer.
Okay, that's...
With a pan of ragu.
He's going to blow up her trailer with ragu.
You heard me right, a pan of ragu tomato sauce.
Don't
and to make it even more Florida Man, he does all of this while wearing a bull onesie.
Okay, you know what? I've heard it all now.
Only in Florida, right?
Only in Florida. So what's the takeaway here? What have we learned from this wild ride through the Sunshine State's underbelly?
I think it's that truth really is stranger than fiction.
Especially in Florida.
Exactly. And maybe there's a little Florida Man in all of us.
Okay, that's a thought. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the wonderful world of Florida Man.
Yeah, good call.
This has been The Deep Dive. Stay weird, everyone.